Hello, I'm Ralph and welcome back to our channel. It's my time, let's go. Today we're going to have our second part of our 1982 shovel, which we had starting problems with. As you can see in the first part, we changed the Bendix and we thought we had the problem beat, but turned out there was a lot more than that. So follow us along in this episode and stick around for some tips and tricks on the end there to help you with some electrical problems you may come up against while you're working on your bike. Alright, let's go! There. Now that should go in there no problem this time. So what we're going to do now is try to install everything here before we go any farther. Try to get a screw back down through and see if we can get it all in place. So now we're going to install this in here. Check this out to make sure we got a lot of contact in there between these. Don't want it too tight, but we don't want it big and sloppy. So it fits pretty good in there. So we're going to go with that. And put a little shot of grease on just on the ends of the splines here because they go into the starter ring gear in there, so we need them lubed up a little bit. Now, let's see where we can go, people. Try to set this in. Nice and easy. Yeah, not in the ring. Okay. There we go, sliding in. And we're engaged into the gear, it appears. So now we've managed to wiggle this into place, and we've got our little arm for the solenoid in place. Making sure that the ears of those two little pieces are engaged on that roller sort of pulley in there. That's what you want, and this is set back. So now what we've got to try to do is get this in the hole. It should be right there. And just hold that oil tank up away from it till we can get it started down in there. Okay. Great. I'm just going to use our needle nose pliers here to help tighten this up. Go. There we go. And that's tight. All right. Our gear's in place. And everything's free here. See, it's going to want to move in and out as we do that. So we're in good position here right now. Next we're going to put a new screw in here, new rubber. So now we put some never sees on the threads here. We're going to start this little rubber back in while we can. So you go in there nice and easy and bottom out. There we go. There we go. That one's tight. Okay, now what we're going to try to do is wiggle our tank back into place. And first thing was we have to come back up over top. The one in the rear, and we have to come past this one in the front. So we watch where this is going there. And we'll go in and work the back across over top of that rubber. There we go. There. So we'll get the other small one up in here. Yeah, that one's bottomed out in there. Put that back up on there. Okay. We need to get our washers down in here and a bolt put on there. And then we can work away at the rest of it. All right, and our washer for our other one. There we go. All right. So we've got those pieces in there. Now we're going to probably go around, hook up our oil lines. Make sure everything's the way it should be. Now let's see what we're into here. These little screws here can be a patience tester, trying to get them in place. There's not much room for your hands in there, and trying to hold all the pieces can sometimes be difficult. So what we're going to do here is get our solenoid squared around. Ready? Nice and easy. Good. Start this top one through. See if we can get it lined up. Okay, right there. There we go. Okay, so now that we've got the new rubbers all put in here and everything, we got this in place. We're going to go around the other side and we're going to hook up all our oil lines, put the battery box back on. Remember, always put the shim spacer in there. Even for testing it like this, we need to put it in. A couple screws in. Okay, we'll go put the oil lines on and hook up the oil tank. So now we'll start to get our oil lines back in place. Remember, when we hook up to the top, even if they don't look quite right, you want to make sure that they're the same. This one down here, you can see, is running back from John's oil cooler there. So this is obviously lined for the return tank, and that's the one that's right beside the cap. The other one, if you follow it down, goes across here and it's into the breather line for the breather case. So we need to make sure we've got these in place. All right. Now we just need to take the plug out that we had in here and slide it back onto the pump body. There we go. Now make sure it's seated back up in place and tighten the clamp. Okay. So far so good. Now before we button up the battery box and put that in here, John's got a problem with the wire here, so this one here has been cobbled and cobbled and cobbled. It's going back up in the harness, so he asked me if I could replace it, so we're going to get something, put a new end on it, solder these together, try to cut back a little bit there and see what's going on, and put a nice clean fresh wire in. Now we're just going to start putting things back. I've tied up some wires in here, soldered in, put a new big heavy lead for a problem he was having with the wire. Make sure it's in shape. So some small things to make sure that you get in place. You want to make sure that you put this bracket back as far as you can. That keeps your oil lines back from it. There we go. Alright, now we'll take our battery box, fit it in this little hole here. Get these lined up with your washers out beyond them. Gotta start them in there. Yeah. Bring that up on there. Okay. All right. Now we've got our small piece in our relay here. Not to forget about. Now we've got our pieces here. Brace piece. There we go. All right, we're back to it. So, get ready to put the battery in it. I'm gonna put a end on this cable. You can hook these to the breaker, like you had them. Then we'll put the battery in and give it a test. So now you can see our motor is turning over the way it should. We did have a problem with the Bendix coming out. And the Bendix drive was popping out and jamming up on here. We replaced the Bendix in it. We did all those sort of things and it was still jamming up. It would come out and lock up and then draw on the battery till quite quickly it didn't want to run anymore. So we had to go farther and figure out what the problem was to get this fixed. So we'll show you what we did, what we found. So then we checked our solenoid to see what kind of power draw was coming through the solenoid through the small wire that was coming from the relay, and we were only getting about 14.5 volts. So we decided to check out and see what was going on. We could take a hot wire, put it right on our small terminal, everything would function like it should. When we tried it through the switch, it wouldn't. Turned out it was the relay. Now someone had taken this relay and not wired it properly. On the top of these, although it's hard to see, on the top here, there's a number here. This is number 87 here, a number 86 here, number 85 here, and a 30 here. This top line here, which is flat, goes directly to the starter solenoid. And that should be giving you your 12 volts from there across when you hit the button. This little one here, position 85, this goes to the ground. Position 86 goes across and goes from the starter button to here. And the last but not least, the number 30 on the end here, this is for your main power. So this will go to the main power. What we found was that these ones were hooked up properly. This one here, which should have been the ground, somebody had actually put it on the starter bolt. So when you were hitting the button, the starter would turn over because it was getting the message, but it was also trying to ground itself out at the same time, just like a dead short. So once we switched this terminal here to ground, then the bike turned over fine. And now we have no problem with it draining the battery. So those are some very simple some very simple things that you can look at for your relay and to check it out. If you check the line that goes across from this relay to the starter solenoid, which would be our 187, our 87 up here, that should be giving you 12 volts at the solenoid when you hit that button. We were getting 4. So that's an indication that something's wrong there. It was a minor mistake someone had made. They had fooled with it for a long period of time, killing the battery, charging it up, killing the battery, and eventually it didn't do anything any good. Now that we've rerouted the wiring and figured it out, the bike starts fine. This is your typical solenoid that's on the bike, and as you can see by looking at it this way, there's a different lengths on the terminals. One's long, one's short. This long one goes to the battery positive terminal, and the short one goes to the starter terminal. Okay? When you put power to the little one, that crosses these two over and allows the starter to start and the solenoid to function. This small wire should be getting 12 volts, and it wasn't. We were only getting 4 as it went down. Same thing. So those are something to always remember. Long one goes to the battery positive, and the short one goes to the starter. So those little things can cause your Bendix and your starter drive not to work properly. Now that we have, you can whirl it over all day and not have a problem. So now that we've got everything in place and tightened up, we've checked everything, we're going to put the primary cover back on and start her up and see what happens. First off, we'll remove our cover here. And we're going to put some Loctite on those screws that we just took out because we don't have them prepared. Our other screws have already got Loctite on them and they're ready to go in. Okay. Clean all your surface off. Get your gasket on, give it the best chance of sealing. And always make sure that you've put this brass washer in here. This is a spacer for your shaft, for your starter drive, and it's got to be in there in order to space it properly. So always make sure that's in. Just gently slide it into place. Go over the shaft, and we'll start that one in. And we'll start this one. Your gasket is going to want to hang out the bottom, so you can hold that with your fingers. So you can get this one in place. There we go. You can feel along the bottom. Make sure your gasket's in where it should be there. And we'll start putting some screws in, just lightly. Sometimes I like to take this small awl, sort of just got a point on the end of it, and we can go in here and make sure that our gasket is lined up in those places where we want it. You have to watch it. Don't let the gasket fall up inside. We know ours is down. We've kept an eye on it there. So we're going to go around and snug these up. Remember, these are 1/4 inch screws into aluminum. So they need to be snug, but not over tightened, or very quickly you'll pull the aluminum threads out. Just crisscross it around the bike. Try to put even pressure on everything as it goes in, and that'll give you a nice seal. Once I've got them all tightened up, always want to make sure that you've got them all. So I always like to go around, feel like I have an even pressure on all of them. Because it's easy to miss one, especially ones down in underneath, before you're done. And there, that should do it. Work all right?
Yeah, felt excellent. Well,
Bike's been out for a drive and it's hot.
I'm pretty comfortable, or pretty confident, because I sent the old lady home.
There you go.
So,
Maybe that was the first mistake.
one thing I wish with this bike, Ralph, is I wish on the first post that the headlight didn't come on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like that's the way it should be, right?
Yeah.
As it should be, brother.
As it should be.
As it should be.
Glad to hear it. Enjoy your weekend.
I am a happy camper.
Good. Get out and enjoy the weekend.
Well, take it easy.
Okay, John. Take care. Another happy camper. Well, we hope you enjoyed this video and that you stick around for many more. Take your time, subscribe, like, ring the bell, and tell others about our channel, and we hope to see you on the next one. All right.